Joining me now, House Foreign Affairs Chair and Texas Congressman Michael McCaul. Good to see you. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Shannon.
Let me first start by getting your reaction to that Chuck Schumer speech saying, time for new elections, Bibi standing in the way of peace, lumping him in with Hamas. What do you make of that? You heard what Admiral Kirby had to say. Biden and Bibi have differences, but they can talk to each other.
But you don't talk about toppling a government in a democracy. That's what, I was with the ambassador Herzog from Israel at our retreat when this news came in, and it was very inappropriate. I think it was embarrassing. There's a way to talk about your differences, not to topple a government in a democratic country. And I think, Shannon, it's indicative of now the split in the Democratic Party between the base, which is not in the traditional Israeli alliance anymore. And I think what you're seeing is a pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel faction in the Democratic Party. I know they protest Schumer outside his home every morning, and perhaps that's why he's responding this way. But it's not a good sign, because usually Israel's always been bipartisan.
Well, there are, your Democratic colleagues, many of them raising questions about whether aid or weapons should be stopped. There should be conditions on what flows into Israel. And the president talked about this red line with regard to Rafah. We do have a lot of sway over Israel. So how much of that should we be using to make sure there is a concrete plan to protect civilians in Rafah?
Well, the aid has been more complicated because UNRWA, the UN refugee, they were actually involved in the invasion of Israel. So how can we have them deliver aid in Gaza? There's no trust there. So Israel is now getting private contractors to move the aid in. We have the World Food Program, Catholic Relief Services, many NGOs that can deliver the aid if given the right security. And I think we need to look at that model moving forward.
But should we be continuing to warn Israel that there could be limits on what we send or give if they proceed with this Rafah invasion?
My understanding, it's not going to be invasion. It's going to be a continuation of targeting high-valued targets in Rafah. They've taken out half the leadership of Hamas. Once they take out, the top leadership, including this Yahya Sinwar guy who's threatened to bomb Jerusalem during Ramadan, that is when you'll see a turning point. I don't see anything wrong with doing that. High-value targets in Rafah, not a full-fledged tanks rolling into Rafah.
Okay, so let's talk about all of the funding that is sitting there in the supplemental. Some of it for Israel, Ukraine, Taiwan, other priorities. You heard Admiral Kirby saying they want the full package, but there are other things being floated. Possible standalone measures, possible loans or lend-lease. The things that are potentially coming out of the House, the White House has signaled it really doesn't have any interest in. So what can the House pass that the president would actually sign?
Well, the speaker indicated he's committed to getting this done. I've been working with the appropriate authorizers and appropriators. There are things we can do to make this bill better. For instance, the Repo Act, which I passed out of my committee, allows us to attach to the Russian sovereign assets that have been frozen to help pay for Russia's war crimes. I think most Americans agree with that concept. Also, the loan program to provide for the direct government assistance to Ukraine. It's no interest, waivable, but it's symbolic that it is a loan program. Finally, a strategy, and we got to put these ATACMS in, the long-range artillery, to hit the bridge between Russia and Crimea.
So do you think there's a chance still this comes through as a package? There is still a chance that what the Senate has put into the House's court could come back out as a package, or you think it is going to be potentially broken up into other measures?
Well, I think we are moving through our normal appropriations process. Should be done by this Friday, after which the speaker's indicated he's committed to putting this supplemental on the floor. That would be Israel. And we should attach Iran sanctions to that. That would be Ukraine and also in Indo-Pacific.
Do you think we get this all done by Friday? Because if not, it's government shutdown time. And there's real concern, especially about the Department of Homeland Security portion of this and whether that gets passed. You think they all get done by Friday?
I'm hopeful. I do think we will. The Homeland piece, a little dicey. Last resort, maybe a CR.
Just for that.
We could continue Homeland on that basis. However, we will get that done, and we will move to the supplemental.
Okay, I want to talk to you about Haiti because we are watching this violent, terrible situation, deadly there, unfolding. Democrats are pointing the finger at Republicans over some of this. The Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries, over in the House, wrote a letter to the Speaker this week. By the way, he name-checked you in the letter, and he says this: the situation on the ground in Haiti has rapidly deteriorated while House Republicans have refused to deliver the resources necessary to carry out this mission. Now is the time to release the full $50 million in security support. Are Republicans responsible for what's happening in Haiti?
No, I think the administration's failed policies have led to this, what is happening in Haiti, with no governance whatsoever, Shannon. The prime ministers in Puerto Rico, even Kenya won't put their peacekeeping forces because it's so chaotic. Now, what they're asking me to do is release $50 million of cash and weapons to go into Haiti with no governance. And the worst thing we can do is arm the very warlords that threaten the people of Haiti. So this guy named Barbecue, I don't want this to happen. We have a history in this country of throwing weapons and guns into countries and they backfire. Until I have assurances that the money can be accounted for and go to the right purpose, I cannot in good conscience release that funding for the American taxpayer, but most importantly, the Haitian people themselves.
Okay, so that stays on hold for now. I want to make sure before you go that we talk about this hearing you're going to have this week, trying to get some answers and some accountability about the withdrawal from Afghanistan. We all remember the horrible suicide bombing that took more than 100 lives, including 13 service members, American service members. By the way, one of the fathers of the service member who was arrested last week at the State of the Union, I know you hosted, I had a number of these families as guests. He says charges are still pending against him. Do you know if that's what's happening in that case?
They are. I would recommend they be dropped. Look, this guy is Steve Nicoy, has been through so much. He lost a son. He's had a suicide death in his family. All these families, these Gold Star families, are grieving. They feel that this president has never apologized to them or said, I'm sorry that your son and one daughter was killed by a suicide bomber. We will hear from General McKenzie, the chairman of Joint Chiefs, General McKenzie, the CENTCOM commander, about the White House and State Department's failures that brought about the conditions that led to the suicide bomber.
Do you think we'll get information from this hearing that we didn't previously have? And bottom line, what the American people want to know is anyone then going to be held accountable?
Well, the one thing I would like is I want the DOD to provide the documents that the sniper testified to. He said, I saw the suicide bomber. It identified the bolo, be on the lookout. He sent the pictures over to the command center. They've yet to produce these a year later, and I'll be talking about that a lot at the hearing. And by the way, General Milley and McKenzie agree with me that the DOD needs to turn over these documents.
Okay, we'll be watching this week.
Thanks, Shannon.
Chairman, thank you very much.